We got to talk about these rookies. What's up? How's it going? I'm Grant Cohn. The Niners finished day 8 of training camp today. Day 9 is tomorrow. Then they have the day off. Robert Saleh spoke today, and he answered questions about a lot of the rookies. And I think what he said was very interesting. So I'll interpret some of those things, and I'll get into my own interpretations of these players. Starting with the defensive lineman, the first 2 picks. We've really the star of training camp so far this year, especially the rookie star, is CJ West. We'll get to him in a little bit, but let's go in order of how they were picked. CJ West is overshadowing everyone, but what about the other 2 D linemen the Niners drafted? Mykel Williams and Alfred Collins. How are they doing? Well, they're both, when you ask about them, people say, well, they're huge. They're so big. Kyle Shanahan said yesterday that Mykel Williams uses his hands as well as any defensive lineman he's seen coming out of college. Okay. I think there is definitely something to that. Let's start with Mykel Williams. When he wins, he typically wins as a defensive tackle against a guard. And he usually, it's because of his length, his long arms, and his hand usage. So like when he goes up against Dominic Pooney and wins in 11-on-11s, that's how he does it. He has reach over Pooney, and he knows how to use his hands. So that's the good part about Mykel Williams. The thing that to me is telling that he might be hurt. Well, we know he hurt his ankle. He's had a hurt ankle for a long time. We know he missed that practice the other day with an ankle injury. We don't know if it's related to the one he had in college. I'll ask Kyle Shanahan next time. But what we do know is now that he's back, he's not in the one-on-one drills. So, and when he does do the one-on-one drills, in the past, he was not going against starters. So I feel like there's a reason the Niners are doing that. They've been doing stuff like this ever since Kyle's here. And anytime you see a starter not going, or a first-round pick not going against starters and one-on-ones or not doing one-on-ones, usually that tells me that the Niners are trying to control the narrative about that player. And I don't know what the narrative would be. Maybe if Mykel Williams went up against Ben Bartch or Colton McKivitz, he would lose in one-on-ones. I don't know. But to me, if he were to lose those matchups, it wouldn't be because he's not good. Again, he's got the size and the hand usage. But what about his ankle? How healthy is he? If he's like soldiering through the off seasons because they need him to start week 1 and he's not really 100% healthy, then that would explain why he's not in all these drills. He does seem to limp a little bit at times at practice. And this is the book on him. He did it at Georgia. He hurt his ankle, high ankle sprain, and practiced on it the whole season, didn't miss much time. That's one of the things the Niners like about him. So if he's out there, it doesn't mean he's 100% healthy. And I just keep waiting for him to have this moment where he shows why he was the 11th pick in the draft. I mean, he's had moments like that show that he's good. I can definitely see that he can set the edge, even if he's going against Trent Williams. But I'd like to see him go up against I'd like to see him in one-on-ones. I would. I'd go up against a starter. And I guess we'll have to see him in the preseason too. Nothing to be alarmed about yet with Mykel Williams. I think he's a good player. But if he's injured and if he's constantly has an ankle issue, then I guess we'll see. Alfred Collins is more concerning because he's a project and he missed rookie minicamp, OTAs, and minicamp. So he's behind. That's the point that Robert Saleh, it's like he acknowledged that Alfred Collins is struggling in a way. He's like, look, not to make an excuse. Because the question was, I love parsing Robert Saleh's words. Someone says, let me see, Collins. Hold on. All right, so the question is, Alfred Collins was asked to play a little bit differently in college than what you guys are going to ask of him. How's his transition to your scheme going? That was the question. I didn't ask it. Very tactfully worded question because it's not like, hey, Collins looks like he's really struggling out there. What's going on? So just, hey, he's doing some new stuff. How's the transition going? And he goes, he's coming along. And then immediately he says he missed all of OTAs, not to make excuses for the young man, but he did. So why would he have to make excuses? No one said he was doing bad, right? Well, that tells you that he's not doing so well. Alfred Collins is struggling. Not to make excuses, but he missed some time. Sure, absolutely. He also had like 7 sacks in 5 years at Texas, and we can see why. I don't know that he's all of a sudden going to become some guy who gets 8, 9, 10 sacks a season. I don't think that's who he is. That's why he wasn't a first-round pick. So behind the 8 ball. Like, it's so bad that he has reps in one-on-ones where he'll lose and they haven't blown the whistle yet. And he'll kind of just stop like, well, I lost. And you'll hear Chris Kasarik yelling at him. Like, I'm not allowed to quote. But you can imagine, I can paraphrase like, hey, like he's urging him to keep trying, to not stop trying, essentially, is what he's telling him to do. And reminding him that, you can keep playing, keep working, because a guy who's 6'5" with 35-inch arms, who's strong like him, should be able to wrestle himself free eventually. He doesn't need to stick to these guards like Velcro. It's just so interesting to watch. You can see one guy who's 6'5", 330, another guy who's 6'1", 315, and one guy gets no push, and the other guy is moving the offensive lineman into the quarterback's lap consistently. Leverage really does matter. Get off really does matter. So I think, again, they knew what they were getting. He doesn't have an elite get off. He's not going to fire into the backfield. He's going to bat down passes on pass plays. He's going to be really big on pass plays. He's going to be really big in the A gap or the B gap and he'll get stopped, and then he'll start jumping up and down and try to bat down passes. That's my prediction for his that's what Kinlaw did. Remember Kinlaw as a rookie, he would stand straight up, get nowhere, and then start jumping up and down. And he had a pick 6 as a rookie, didn't he? He had a pick 6. I feel like we're going to see Alfred Collins have an interception this year. He might have more interceptions than sacks this year. But as long as he can anchor against double teams, he was worth the pick. Let's be real clear. I'm making fun of him a little bit. I'm not trying to make fun, but I'm like pointing out that he's really struggling in the pass rush drills, which is true. But if he can anchor against double teams, he was worth the pick. He was a second-round pick. Anchoring against double teams in the wide 9 is very difficult. So don't get alarmed. But the fact that he missed all this time, the fact that he's not quite in football shape, the fact that Saleh says he's behind the 8 ball means that he might not be playing that much right away. Because, again, what's his endurance like? Like, for example, one-on-one drills. He probably did it 5 or 6 reps. Halfway through, he's standing waiting for his turn, and he's got his hands on his hips like he's really out of breath. Like, man, the practice just started. We got an hour more. And again, I think that's what Saleh's talking about. Like, he missed a lot of time. This is his first week. Most of these guys, this is their second time through it. This is his first time through it. So is it because he had a calf injury? That's what they're saying. Or is it because they didn't sign his contract? Don't know. But I thought Saleh said something. He's like, he's really big and he's got great feet. Those are 2 things you can't coach. That is also true. But my counter would be like, all right, well, all the things that you can coach, he's not good at. Get off, pad level, hand usage, working edges, counter moves, things that aren't bull rushes. Bull rushes. All the things that you learn at football, he doesn't seem like he's good at any of those, except for maybe batting down passes. But again, if you can anchor versus those double teams, it'll all be worth it. Because Kinlaw never could. At least not on the Niners. Maybe it's because one of his knees was no good. Maybe it's because his leverage was, I don't know. He always was like, I'm 330. Nope, psych, I'm 300. Nope, psych, I'm 330. Remember? He's like, no, yeah. This year, I lost 30 pounds. I'll be way better shape. This year, I put on 30 pounds. I'll be way better shape. It's like, pick one. So I don't know. He just seems a lot like Kinlaw, minus the physique. Like Kinlaw, you looked at him and you'd say, that's the guy who got drafted in round 1. Collins, if someone was like, hey, that was a 7th round pick, you'd be like, yeah, I can see that. Because again, his older cousin is Trent Brown, who was a 7th round pick. Ended up being a really good player. Niners took him. But when you looked at Trent Brown, it's like, you're not in the best shape. Like, are you How serious of a professional athlete are you? I think he became more serious over time. But Collins, yeah, first impression of Collins is he's got a lot of growing up to do. So those are the two first round picks. A little underwhelming, at least in practice, because really their number one contribution really is going to be run defense, and neither one's popping off as dominant pass rushers in camp, even when they're going against backups. Now let's talk about the next two picks, Nick Martin and Upton Stout. These are the third round picks. And, again, in practice, you're mostly judging coverage, some pass rush. Those are things you can see. But run defense is a hard thing to judge when there's, minimal contact. Minimal contact, absolutely no tackling. So Saleh today was asked about Nick Martin, and he had a very interesting answer because I think he was asked about D. Winters early in the offseason. Media hypes up D. Winters every offseason because he's a good athlete and he makes plays in coverage. And we don't really know what we're looking at. So he has 2 picks this offseason. He must be doing great, right? And people ask Saleh, and he's like, yeah, I love D. Winters. He's working so hard. He's improved so much. It's just that, we'll see how it is when when the preseason starts and it's live football and he actually has to decipher run and pass. And it's not these like clear passing situations. Like, oh yeah, you have some reservations about this guy. Yeah, he's an athlete, but is he really a dog? Like, is he really violent? Is he really consistently going to be around the ball? Don't know. He was on the field during a lot of performances last year where the Niners couldn't stop the run at all. Then he was asked about Nick Martin, who he handpicked, Robert Saleh, and he said, yeah, I'll start with Nick. One thing we're not worried about with him is his violence, getting off a block and understanding how to get to the football. He just has to continue mastering the scheme to give himself the opportunity to play fast. That is something he's not said, won't say about D. Winters. Yeah, one thing we're not worried about with him is the violence. And I think that's with Winters. Sometimes you don't even really feel him out there. Greenlaw was the intimidator. Reuben Foster was supposed to be the intimidator. And they're drafting Nick Martin to be super violent, hit super hard. And I think he will. Like, you see him leave his feet to make diving headfirst human missile tackles, which probably isn't good, form. Probably, I'm supposed to have your head up, but he does it. So that's cool. I'm really looking forward to watching Nick Martin in preseason. I have a feeling they're being coy about how good he is. They're not playing him with the starters, but I think he's going to end up being the starting Sam linebacker. And one mistake from D. Winters, one bad game from D. Winters, and a couple good games from Nick Martin, and they make the switch. I don't think Nick Martin will be the starting will linebacker week 1, but I think he'll be the starting weak linebacker week 17 for sure. And it's just a matter of when D. Winters gives that job up. So we'll see. But I like that that Saleh's talking about violence, because I don't think this defense was particularly violent last year. I mean, Devondre Campbell, no. D. Winters, not so much. Leonard Floyd, no. Jair Brown, not really. Now you got Nick Martin and Upton Stout. Upton Stout, I have a feeling as soon as preseason starts, everyone's going to love this guy. As soon as we see him make a tackle. I can't tell yet because they don't tackle, but they do this thing where they thud each other. It's like lacrosse, where you can just drop a shoulder, and you're allowed to do that. You just don't want the guy to fall down, but you do want to give some contact, thud up, as they say. He thuds up really hard. So does Nick Martin. But Upton Stout, all 5'8" of him, really thuds up hard. And he kind of reminds me of Bob Sanders. I mean, people my age remember Bob Sanders, but he was this safety for the Colts who was smaller, and he threw his body around in an insane way. Anyone watching like, why is that little man doing this to himself? And he didn't last that long. I have a feeling Upton Stout's going to be like that. He's super strong, and it's what makes him him. Yeah, I think he's going to be good in coverage. I think he has potential in coverage. I think he can also blitz. But I think what's going to be his standout trait, the reason the Niners drafted him, is his tackling. Maybe that sounds silly to draft a nickel based on tackling, but they took him in the 3rd round. If you're really looking for a premium cover guy, you're probably getting that guy, a guy who can really lock up most receivers they face in the slot. That guy's probably a 1st-round pick or someone with that kind of measurables. And this guy is 5'8". He's not going to be able to lock up him against Jackson Smith and Jigbo week 1. That's a concerning matchup through the air. But the thing about the Seahawks is they run the ball a lot, or they're going to with Clint Kubiak as their offensive coordinator. And the Niners are going to have to be able to stop the run out of base, out of nickel. And this guy's going to be their starting nickel. And I think he's going to be a much more ferocious, violent tackler than Diamador Lenore or Renardo Green. He's going to hit like a freaking safety. And I can't wait to watch it, because watching glorified, touch football every day gets boring. It's interesting, but it gets boring. And then you watch the Hall of Fame game last night and it's like, oh yeah, that's what I miss. I love tackle football. So I feel like stock up with Nick Martin and Upton Stout. These are two guys who were drafted to hit stick people. They won't say it, but they were drafted to light people up, to be violent. Mykel Williams and Alfred Collins, I don't know if they were drafted to be violent. They're drafted to be big and like eat space and stop the run in a wide 9 front, which is it's inherently hard to stop the run out of the wide 9 because everyone's so far apart. So these big guys, kind of like Armstead, who could stop the run in the wide 9. That's what they're looking for from those guys. But they need people on the second and third levels to be violent, because, God love Fred Warner, one of the best players in franchise history, but violence is down the list of his best qualities, right? Greenlaw was kind of the yin to his yang in that way. So you lose Greenlaw, you lose the heart of your defense, you lose the toughness, you lose the guy who scares people, Upton Stout and Nick Martin. Now, the idea that people are going to be scared of 5'8" Upton Stout sounds like a stretch, right? Well, we'll see. Now let's talk CJ West. I think what's funny about coaches too, like CJ West is obviously really good. Obvious. Players know it. Coaches know it. Everyone knows it. But he's playing with the third stringers. And when asked about CJ West today, let me get the question. Someone said, Robert, you said that for the first day in pads, you were going to watch. They asked about CJ West a few days ago, first day in pads, and he was like, I didn't see him. Sorry. He didn't want to talk about him. They don't want to praise rookies too soon. They want to make them earn it. And, it's only been a week camp. Like, they haven't earned it in their actual game yet. So they're not going to praise rookies that much, especially ones who are doing really well. They don't want it to go to their head. So he says, you said you're going to watch the CJ West on video to see what the fuss was all about. What were your impressions? He goes, he's done a really nice job. He's getting better every day. A lot of things he still has to clean up with the footwork, hand placement, and all that. But he's one that we're excited about. He's going to continue to get better every single day. He'll be part of the NFL for a while. That was the one. He was trying to downplay it, like, I don't want this rookie to start, getting full of himself. I don't want all this early success to go to his head. He needs to be coachable. He needs to still learn our techniques and not just go out there and freelance, because I'm sure him going out there and freelancing is working right now. He's that freaking good. I didn't really understand how good CJ West was going to be, by the way. Maybe I didn't watch the right film. I thought he was just DJ Jones. I thought he was just a run defender who could move a little bit, like DJ Jones. That's what they said. And I'm like, nope, he's Warren Sapp. No, maybe he's not Warren Sapp. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. I don't want to raise your expectation, but he is a serious pass rusher. He does look like a 3-down player. And when Robert Saleh says casually he's going to be in the NFL for a while, yeah, man, this guy's going to get a second contract. They know it now. And they don't want to say it because, like, it could be expensive. Right? I mean, what did DJ Jones get? 3 years, 30? This guy's going to get a contract like that minimum. And I say that based off, he hasn't even played a freaking preseason game. That's how obvious it is. Maybe I'm wrong, man. If CJ West turns out to be a bust, we're all going to have to go back and question how well we understand football, because this one seems like the biggest slam dunk layup. He's the best player that they drafted. He's better than Mykel Williams right now. Maybe I'm tripping. But he's the guy that everyone wants to watch. And he's harder to find than Mykel Williams. He's lower to the ground. Going to be in the NFL for a while. Alfred Collins, we'll see. To be determined if he gets the second contract. Perhaps. CJ West, already, the Niners know it. So good for you. Let's talk about someone who has gotten a second contract and may not need to get a third from the 49ers. Colton McKivitz. People are awful nice to Colton. and about Colton because he's not Mike McGlinchey. Everyone was mean to Mike McGlinchey. Mike McGlinchey essentially was a nice person who meant well, and you guys tore him to pieces. I tried to stand up for him. I am a nice person. You guys were mean to Mike McGlinchey, and you hurt his feelings. All because he was a first-round pick. It's not his fault. He can't control that. So here comes Colton, not a first-round pick. Fifth-round pick, was on the practice squad, didn't have all of his dreams come true, wasn't a multi-millionaire. Easy to like Colton. Thing is, Colton isn't as good as Mike McGlinchey. So we were tough on Mike McGlinchey for not being good enough. He's better than Colton McKivitz. McKivitz is really not good enough, but he's cheap. And he wasn't a first-round pick, so you can't really. And he's a cool guy. He seems like he's a funny guy. Sense of humor. So we all kind of give him a pass, even though he might be the worst player in the starting lineup. And he plays a really important position, offensive tackle. So he gets to go up against Bosa a lot. And they kind of joke around with each other. I think they like each other. They go up against each other in one-on-ones, and Bosa kind of messes around like, oh, you got me, man. Let me try again. Let me try. Okay. But then in 11-on-11s, Bosa beats him every single play, instantly, repeatedly, over and over again. It's like, what is the point of this, man? What is Bosa learning? How is he getting better? And shouldn't Colton be getting better? I mean, you're going against one of the best defensive ends in the league. You keep losing. How come you don't get better? He hasn't really cost them yet. 13 sacks his first year as a starter was bad, but the Niners were such a great team, no one really noticed. Last year, he only gave up 8. It was only 8. That's a lot better, but it's still 8. I don't know, man. They better not extend Colton McKivitz. I think I said something last week that he should hold out for an extension. Can you guys remind me to slap myself sometimes? Just say it, Grant. Stand back and slap yourself in the face. Extend Colton McKivitz? My goodness. I just hope he doesn't ruin their season. His cap number is $3 million. He knows he's not a starter. Any self-respecting offensive tackle who's a starter in the NFL isn't playing for $3 million. The rest of the starting offensive tackles should be looking at him like, hey, man, what are you doing? You need to renegotiate. If you're really a starter, renegotiate. Get your money. Because we have a floor to uphold here, and you're ruining it. You're in your second contract making less than a first-round pick. That's why the Niners like him, because he's cheaper than a first-round pick. Colton. Jalen Moore was better than Colton Miller, and the Niners played Colton Miller over Jalen Moore. Hard to understand that one. Let's talk Ricky Pearsall. He's kind of like a rookie. He didn't play that much last year. He didn't do much in training camp last year. He needs to. This is an important training camp for him. Missed the first 4 days, came back. He's in 11-on-11s, not one-on-ones. Brock Purdy talked about it today. And Brock is interesting. He's really smart, and he doesn't sugarcoat it too much. So they were like, well, how's your connection with Ricky? And he's like, well, Ricky's really shifty. And that's great. Shiftier than most. And that's great because it's going to help us beat man-to-man coverage. But our system, this is a paraphrase, our system is built on timing and landmarks and running, the right amount of steps and taking the right angles with your brakes. And sometimes he'd be open and he'd be like, hey, I was open. And I'd be like, yeah, but you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I need you here now. So that's interesting. You love to get insight like that from the players. It's not that, to me, what's so weird about Ricky not being the one-on-ones, I feel like he's the kind of athlete, the kind of wide receiver who would dominate that drill. He's fast. He's shifty. He can go either way. I mean, he can take you deep. He can make 90-degree cuts, 45-degree cuts. He can break down and stop. I mean, he can do whatever. He should whoop ass in that drill. But they've never, ever, ever put him in it. Not one time since he's been in the NFL. That's so weird to me. They're always easing him back in. But whatever. I'm not really that concerned about it because I can kind of see what it's going to look like. I don't know why they're babying him. It must have something to do with injuries. I don't know. Or they just are neurotic and they want to control narratives. I don't know. But What Brock said is interesting to me. It's about the timing. So they need time together in camp, clearly, to develop that timing, whether it's Brock's issue, whether it's Ricky's issue. And today, they've hooked up at times in camp, but today they didn't. Brock, he was like 11 of 15. One of his 4 incompletions was to Ricky, an out pass that was behind him at the sideline, the left sideline. And so was it a bad throw, or did Ricky run his route at the wrong depth? Did he cut, whatever, the wrong time? I mean, clearly they're still figuring out their connection. For whatever reason, it's not where Brock and Ayuk were, Brock and Debo, Brock and Jennings. It's hit or miss. Even Brock and Demarcus Robinson seem to have a better connection right now than Brock and Ricky. And I think that has to be a product of Ricky not being out there. The more he practices, the better his connection with Brock will be. And if he can stay healthy, then he has the talent to lead the team in targets, catches, yards. He does. He should be their guy. He should be the one who gets 115 targets and some carries as well. He should be the do-it-all number 1 receiver this year if he can just stay healthy and get on the same page with Brock Purdy. He's that talented. I think it's obvious. Demarcus Robinson is solid, but he's not a number 1. He's barely a number 2. I don't think he's ever been a number 2 in his whole career, but on the Niners in this system with George Kittle out there, he could be like a number 2 receiver kind of. George Kittle's the actual number 2, but the number 1 should be Ricky. And he had a play today. It's funny. Brock isn't on the right page with it. Like, Brock's still working out the timing, but Mac seems to have it. Mac hit Ricky on a beautiful pass. Ricky started off on the right side, and then Mac motioned him before the snap over to the left slot, and he ran this like corner route, whooped the shit out of whoever was covering him at the top of the route. I mean, turn that guy around. As soon as he's coming out of his break, the ball's out. Mac Jones is fun to watch. Those with so much anticipation. His passes are just on the freaking money. Like, and they arrive in a little pillow. It's a tiny little pillow. They're so soft. But he doesn't have a weak arm. And then boom, he hits Ricky Pearsall in stride, 25 yards down the field on a corner route against the backups. But it's like, damn. That looked really nice. I like Ricky Pearsall. I think he's got a good head on his shoulders. He seems smart. He seems athletic. Seems like he's a serious pro. I just don't know if he can play football consistently and not get hurt. Because that's essentially what makes you a football player, right? It's this brutal, violent game, and you have to run around a lot. If you're constantly, tweaking a hamstring or popping a shoulder out of socket, then I don't know. Maybe you're more of a track guy. Maybe you're more of a college football player, and your body just isn't quite cut out for the NFL. I mean, as well as he moves, he's built like me. And I didn't even play. He's not built like me. I'm not going to say that. But he's kind of built like me. Compare Ricky Pearsall's build to Robinson's, Jennings, Ayuk's. They're all significantly stronger than him. Or they look like it. I don't know. Maybe he's a wonder in the weight room. But I feel like that's going to be, just for the sheer durability, get a little stronger. But yeah, Ricky Pearsall, I think the plan is for him to lead the team in targets this year. I think that's the plan. Because the plan isn't for Kittle to do that. They haven't wanted Kittle to be the featured guy since he was 26. They were off that. They want him to be the number 2. And it's not going to be Christian McCaffrey. He's not going to be their number 1 target. He's not going to get 100 targets at 29 years old. That's not going to happen. He'll get like 60 maybe. It's not going to be Jawan. Is anyone else seriously concerned about Jawan, or do people just not care anymore? Boy, he had leverage for about a minute and a half. I mean, I guess it's possible that he's holding in. I just don't think so. Re-aggravated calf, that sounds like real. I don't know. Let's get some super chats. Sudden Chaos says, I work nights. So glad I finally caught a live show. Are you working right now? Okay, well, maybe I can do some more primetime shows during the season. What do you guys think of primetime Cohn Zone? King Kelly says, off topic, but Mike Yaz hit a homer in today's game. For real? For Kansas City? Who cares? Can we talk about Trey Lance one more time? I think I'm going to keep talking about Trey Lance for a while. Here's what's interesting. I want to take this a different direction. I don't want to like wag my finger at the Niners, but I do want to talk about, isn't it interesting how Niner fans are still so invested in Trey Lance? All of them. There's some Niner fans who are really pulling for Trey Lance, even though he's not on the team anymore, which is interesting. How many former Niners get that treatment? But I mean, I watched the game. You guys watched the game. A lot of Niner fans, I think more Niner fans than Charger. There aren't that many Charger fans, to be fair. But I think more Niner fans than Charger fans watched that preseason game. Niner fans want to know what's going on with Trey Lance. And now that he's getting coached by Jim Harbaugh, it's like even more intriguing, because if that works out, it's like a double in your face. I mean, the coach you exiled and the quarterback you exiled team up like double dragon. No, I can't have that. So you have the people who are super invested in him and are rooting for him to succeed, to the point where some are even say, you know, like, I hope he shoves it in the Niners' faces. I hope he makes the Niners look stupid. These are Niner fans. That's one extreme. Then you have the other extreme of Niner fans who are actively rooting for his downfall still. They watch that game, they get in the comments like, it was third stringers, bro. Relax, bro. 6 yards per attempt, bro. He wasn't even that good, bro. Like, I think that's funny. Why do you care? If he isn't that good and he's not on the Niners anymore, then why do you even care? Because all Niner fans care about this guy. You know who they don't care about? You know who you and all Niner fans no longer give a flying F about? Jimmy Garoppolo. That man was your starting quarterback for 6 years. If you saw him walking down the street, you'd be like, I think that was Jimmy. What's he doing these days? Is he still in the league? What team is he on? What happened to him? I don't think about him at all anymore. Huh. He's got gray hair now. He can't be in the league anymore, right? If he were to play well for the Rams, I don't think any Niner fan would care. Okay. Good. Or not. But Trey's a whole different story. Why? Because Trey never got a chance. 4 starts. It's unique. It is utterly unique. There's never, ever, ever, ever been a top 5, top 3 pick who got no chance, who got 4 chances to start for a team and then got jettisoned. I mean, it's not like he got in legal trouble. It's not like he was a drug addict. The Niners just drafted a project and then immediately decided they didn't want to do the project. And so the fans who were invested are upset with the Niners and still want Trey Lance to succeed, even if it means that it's bad. I mean, people get fired with the 49ers. And then you have the other people who just want him to fail. Because they're so invested in Kyle Shanahan being right that if Kyle Shanahan says, I've seen him in practice, he's no good, I can see the future, he sucks, there's no point, then they're like, well, he's right. Kyle's right. So they need Trey Lance to be bad to maintain their belief in Kyle Shanahan being, right most of the time, knowing what he's doing. Even though I think it's pretty clear at the quarterback position, he's figuring it out at best. He does have Mac Jones here, finally. That's good self-awareness. He did bring in Sam Darnold. That's 2 for 2 with the quarterbacks. But it's like Trey Lance. I mean, Kyle Shanahan, it's like he's, cleaned up his act, goes to church, work things out with future quarterbacks, doing all the right things. Work things out with Darnold, work things out with Mac Jones. But you're haunted by the Trey Lance thing. You can't get past it because you gave up 3 first-round picks in the third to get him. You never gave him a chance, and people let you slide because Brock Purdy exists, and people think you know what you're talking about. So if Jim Harbaugh shows people that you don't, and you just lost interest in coaching Trey Lance and pretty much threw him away. Then people are going to start wondering about Kyle Shanahan. Are you just a scheme guy? Do you know anything about the most important position? Such an interesting topic. It's like, remember that movie, I Know What You Did Last Summer? It's like that. You know what I mean? Like he buried Trey Lance. Buried him. And now like Trey Lance is out in public and he's like, oh my God, he's still alive. Oh my God, I thought we took care of this. Everyone. Didn't we bury him? He's out. He's alive. What do we do? 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 Uh-oh. Uh-oh. He just played good football. He played football. He was good. Uh-oh. What do we do? And I think that's, again, why some people are so emotionally tied to Trey, is they felt he got buried for doing nothing wrong. Here's something. Let's say the Niners had drafted Mac Jones. I've been doing this thought exercise. Mac Jones might be the starting quarterback right now. He might be worth $250 million. I don't know. What if Trey Lance had just not been drafted by the 49ers? What if he had been drafted by one of these coaches who's really good with the quarterback position, like a former quarterback who has, can handle can develop the quarterback position and is good with scheme? Someone like, I'm just going to pick a name randomly. And I know they weren't in position to get him. But what if like Minnesota had drafted Trey Lance? They had Kirk Cousins. Let's say Kevin O'Connell was Trey Lance's coach from the beginning. Or let's say Jim Harbaugh was Trey Lance's coach from the beginning. What would be different? I think all Niner fans know, as much as you love Kyle Shanahan, even if you love Kyle Shanahan, you have to acknowledge that trading up for Trey Lance, whom everyone knew needed reps, right? The book on Trey was he really could become someone special, a la Josh Allen, if he gets reps. He's unusually green. He's 20. He's like 300 throws in college, and he's coming off a COVID year, which is, 1 in a million. So if you draft him, you got to play him. Everyone knew that. So what did the Niners do? Not play him. Like that was going to work. And then they were so surprised that not playing the guy who needed reps didn't work. They just got rid of him. You know what I liked about what Harbaugh did yesterday? Played him in the third quarter. I didn't think he would. That's why I started my instant reaction at halftime. Then I look up, I'm so pleasantly surprised to see that Jim Harbaugh left him in. He could have taken him out at halftime. His passer rating was like 137. And you could have said, yay. And you could control the narrative that way, right? Talking about controlling narratives. Hey, man, gave him a half. Numbers were crazy. But that's bullshit. What he needs is all the reps he can freaking get. And Jim Harbaugh is committed to giving him those reps. He said it after the game. He needs reps, and he's going to get him here. If he had been drafted by someone else, this could have went a whole different direction. I don't know that he'll be. I'm not saying that he can be elite. I'm not saying that. But I think he can be a solid starting quarterback. Minimum. What is the difference between him and Sam Darnold? What is really the difference between him and Sam Darnold? Sam Darnold, was labeled a bust, but he wasn't. He's a good quarterback. And all it took was him going to the right team, him growing up a little bit, going to the right team, being in the right situation, a coach who really believed in him. And it's like, oh yeah, that's who people thought you were going to be when you got drafted. Now, Sam Darnold is exactly who people thought he would be when he got drafted. Good, not elite, not the number one pick, but good. Not a dual threat quarterback, but mobile. Can throw on the run. Strong arm. Not the most accurate quarterback, not the best feel in the pocket, but good. Is that not Trey Lance? Not the most accurate quarterback. Not really a dual threat, but he can run. He can throw on the move. He's big. I think they have a lot in common. And they struggled for different reasons. Like the Niners and Jets are polar opposites. The Niners were good, the Jets were bad, but in a sense, both situations were bad situations for young quarterbacks who needed development. both quarterbacks were made to look a lot worse than they were. So that's how I feel about the Trey Lance situation. And I'm just so glad. To me, he's like the easiest person in the world to root for. Why would you not root for Trey Lance? It's not like he got drafted by the Niners, developed a cocaine habit, committed assault, went to jail. He didn't do anything like that. Kyle just lost interest. He changed his mind. And I think, isn't it a horror story to think that someone could draft you and then discard you and ruin your whole career without thinking twice, and no one cares because Brock Purdy came along? Like, I think your heart goes out to someone like that. Maybe some people feel he shouldn't have been drafted third overall at all. And I think he earned it. There was a draft process. If the Niners hadn't taken him with the third pick, someone else would have fucking taken him with the third pick. Every other top 5 quarterback. I mean, Jamarcus Russell got how many? Jamarcus Russell was on syrup, and he got 25 starts because people just wanted to make sure that the syrup, was ruining his career. And it did. Allegedly. As far as I know, Trey Lance has never taken any scissorp. Remember when that was a thing? Oh, I guess it still is a thing. People who brag about doing that in their raps, it's like, yo, that's a bad idea, sir. I would have the sugar alone, but I mean, that's a very strong. What are you doing? It's addictive. It could ruin your life. Syrup. Yuck. Is Mac more accurate than Purdy? Yes. Mac is more accurate than Purdy. He has a stronger arm than Purdy. He processes at least as fast as Purdy. He layers throws at least as well as Purdy. It's just that Purdy has this little burst. You know what I mean? Like in Mario Kart where you hit what gives you that little burst of Mario Kart? Is it the mushroom? I forget. That's Brock Purdy. He has this he's super fast for 10 yards. Really fast. Mac Jones is not. And that is such a huge element to his game, Brock Purdy's. Just that escapability. I think it's huge. It's elite. I think it's freaking elite. His first few steps are elite. Mac's are not. But just in terms of, and the other thing that Mac has over Brock, field vision. Field vision. Brock has to run around because sometimes he doesn't have clear sight lines. Mac can see. Although I was going to say Purdy gets more of his passes batted down. Mac got a pass batted down today. They got intercepted, so I can't say that. I still would take Purdy over Mac. But Mac is so intriguing because he's cheap. $3 million a year. $3 million a year? $3 million? For a guy who is completing 80% of his passes in camp, was a first-round pick, 26 years old, hasn't torn his UCL, his ACL, no CLs. Did you see his press conference? Poor guy. He looks like he has been emotionally abused, by coaches. He just has this quietness to him. It's like, hey, man, are you okay? Are you all right? You're okay now. You're okay. You're on the Niners now. You're in good hands. You're going to be okay. My heart goes out to Mac Jones, too. I mean, it's sort of the way it goes out to Trey Lance. Trey Lance and Mac Jones have suffered in their careers in life. Guys who were propped up as franchise saviors at 20, 21, 22, 23, and then written off by 23, 24, 25. That's damn, life comes at you fast. I'm the greatest. No, I suck. Damn. I haven't even grown up yet. So it's nice to see people who have been tossed aside. I think anyone can relate to that, right? Most people have suffered. You live long enough, you suffer. Those two guys have really suffered. And it's not, I mean, I think you always root for people to persevere through that, come out stronger and succeed, because that gives you hope that you can, if you're suffering. If Mac Jones can do it, I can do it. If Trey Lance can do it, I can do it. So good for Trey, good for Jim, good for Mac, good for Kyle. I just don't understand why Kyle thought he could coach Trey Lance. Like, why did you do that? You got to know yourself. You should have known within a week you were going to be out on that. Within a week. You don't have the patience for that. You don't have the ability to coach a quarterback who's a project. You need a ready-made player. You need Mac Jones. You need Brock Purdy. Because all you have to offer is a scheme. And that's a powerful thing. Like with Mac Jones, you might be able to make Mac Jones better than any other quarterback in the world, any other coach in the world, because he's just going to, execute a scheme. So he's really only as good as his play caller. And you're not the best play caller in the league. Ben Johnson's better. Even your best friend Chris Sims says so. If you gave Mac Jones to Ben Johnson, he could execute his offense really well. Like he might be better than Jared Goff. He might be better than Jared Goff, who is also completely at the mercy of his play caller. And I'm telling you, that play caller they have in Detroit this year, Johnny Morton, is awful. He's so bad, super awful. He was with Harbaugh in the Niners. Harbaugh got rid of him, was the weakest link. Goodbye. Still keeps Greg Roman. Jared Goff's going to have a tough time this year, even though he has a bunch of good players. They're going to wish they had Mac Jones, but it's not going to matter. I wonder how it's going to work with Caleb, though, with the Bears, because Ben Johnson's like Kyle. He wants a quarterback to freaking execute because the play calling is good. We don't need you going off script 80 times a game. The system is good. Execute it. And I don't know if Caleb does that. He likes to freelance. So maybe the Niners will end up trading Mac Jones to the Bears for Caleb Williams. That's what I think. Pretty sure. Saleh has the best year as a DC. He could. If he gets his defense playing well with like 4 or 5 rookies, I have a hot take. I think the defense is going to be better than the offense this year. I think most people are expecting the offense to be better than the defense. Not me. Now, they're going to need Bernardo Green and Diamond Lenore to be healthy. But assuming those two are healthy, I think Nick Martin and Upton Stout are going to be good. I think CJ West is going to be good. I think Bryce Huff and Mykel Williams are going to be good. Williams has to be healthy. I think the defense is going to be good. Pinnock is good. The question right now is like Jair Brown, strong safety, until Malik Mustafa gets back. But Pinnock's good. Stout and Martin are good. Lenore and Green should be good. I think the defense is going to be good as hell. It's the offense that I wonder about. Colton McKivitz, Ben Barch, the whole freaking wide receiver position. I'm telling you, I'm concerned about Jennings. Robinson is solid, but it can't be Kittle and Robinson. Those can't be your top 2 options. They really need Ricky Pearsall to be really good. And I don't know. I don't know if he can do it. I know he can do it here and there, flashes, but consistently day in and day out, week in and week out, I don't know. They need him to. That's what the offense is. Pearsall and McCaffrey. And frankly, looking at McCaffrey every day, looking like a 29-year-old running back to me. I don't know. I'm just saying. He didn't look bad. He looks like the best running back on the team for sure, but he looks 29. The injuries in camp so far are really concerning. I didn't even mention Jordan Watkins' injury because the Niners didn't. You know what's too bad? In the past, the Niners used to give you an injury report every day before camp started. Here's who's not going to be out there and why. Just so people like us, media, could tell the fans and not spread misinformation, or at least not spread panic and confusion. But they don't do that anymore. So what am I supposed to do? Not tell you that Jordan Watkins was absent? I have to. Because if I don't, everyone else will. And people be like, Grant, why'd you leave out that important information? I'll be like, I don't know. So I did. But then when I tell you he missed it, I can't tell you like, well, did he have jury duty? Did he have the bubble guts? Or did he pull his hamstring? Don't know. Guess we'll find out next time Kyle talks. It'd be nice if the team was just like, here's what's up. But they don't. It's unfortunate. Average points scored against per game. I think it'll be right around 20. Maybe a little below. Maybe not at first. But yeah. How about that? All right. That's my show. Those are my takes. I hope you liked them. If you didn't, good. I hope you hated them. And I'll be back tomorrow with more takes that you may hate or like after practice or before or during. We'll have to see. See you tomorrow.